Hello, I'm Stephen Berry, and welcome to the Executive Business Network, the series where we bring you leading business experts to help you solve the problems confronting your business today. Joining me in the studio, I have Flavia Diallo. Hello.
Hi, Stephen.
Now, you're the director of Diallo Consulting, international company that deals with business strategy and change. So tell us about the kind of work that you're doing.
Well, Diallo Consulting really focuses on two main leadership challenges, and that is understanding the very delicate balance between your business strategy, making sure that it's supported by a great process. And then the other side of the balance, of course, is understanding the resources necessary, but also understanding the key capabilities of the people that make up your business. We use tools like audit, executive coaching, and project leadership to deliver against those goals for businesses.
Yeah. And when you say resources there, are you talking about people and finances?
Yes, exactly. So oftentimes we look at people as something quite separate, and well, Stephen, to be honest with you, it's quite popular to say that, yes, our people are our greatest asset, but I would like to see in a boardroom that actually come to fruition. So what we do is we actually help businesses to understand that you can have great strategy, great process, you can have great financial structures, you can have tools, but if you don't actually have the capability and the capacity and the people that's right for that time in your business, you can't succeed. Any one of those four things fall away and your business is out of balance. So I think what we focus on when it comes to people, Stephen, is that a business in double-digit growth needs a certain population. One in operational sustainability needs a different set, and those in decline need a different set. And we need to be able to be agile and react to that. And that's where Diallo Consulting can really add value.
Now, you've worked with companies all over the world. What are some of the key learnings that you've seen during that time?
You know, Stephen, that's such a good question. I think there's a few I want to go through today. Number one, and first and foremost, is no one ever really listens to lessons learned. Everybody looks at them and goes, yeah, but we wouldn't make that mistake because we're far more clever than that, or we're better planned than that. So I think really, as an organization, as a set of leaders, whether you're on a project or embarking on an acquisition, a divestment, you must first and foremost ask yourself, what is important to guide me through this? And if you start looking at organizations, past, present, and future, well, perhaps it's not time well spent. Let's put it that way. What I would do if I was looking to statement of my first lesson would be to look to people who changed the world. Now, I know that sounds far too lofty, but work with me if you're here just a minute. If you look at people who were able to move social systems, people like Martin Luther King Jr., well, for that matter, Martin Luther. If you look at people like Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Malcolm X, they were able to take large, solid institutional thinking and somehow make that change. If I were a leader, I wouldn't say lessons learned from other organizations. I'd say lessons learned from successful, great leaders in history.
But they're not all popular, right? So they're very polarizing, some of those characters you just mentioned. So is popularity something you should disband with if you're going to be successful in a transformation?
You weren't kidding about controversial, Stephen. Well done. Yeah, I think that focusing on what is politic or focusing on what is popular is not what I would look at. What you're looking for are people who have done great things out of, well, adversity and failure. I've often said to business leaders, I would hire a failed CEO before I'd hire somebody who is massively successful. Why? Because they show the grit and the pain and the scars on their back of failure. As a great historical leader, I actually like to point to somebody as controversial as Margaret Thatcher. Well, we may not have always agreed with her methods, we may not have agreed with her agendas, but if you look at Margaret Thatcher as a historical figure, you have to appreciate one thing, and that is her courage and her conviction. She never said what was politic, she never said what was easy, she never said what was popular. She asked herself what was right.
I'm very interested in the point you made about hiring failed CEOs. That seems to fly in the face of conventional wisdoms. Why would you say that?
Well, I guess in some ways you could say it is, but if I'm making a hiring decision based on the best person with the best set of knowledge and capability to help my business succeed, and we're still in the context of lessons learned, somebody who has had infinite and constant success, I can't imagine has a lot of lessons learned. I liked the failed CEO or the failed leader because they say to themselves, wow, I'm going to learn from what I did well, and I'm going to learn 100 times more from what I didn't do so well, and I'm not going to repeat that. There's a lot of power in failure, and I think in our society sometimes we ignore that.
You refer to many significant historical figures and high-profile CEOs, many of which have been very polarizing as characters. How important is it to take people on the journey with you, particularly when some of your ideas are not going to be popular?
I think, Stephen, we'd have to understand, first and foremost, whether we want to take everybody on the journey with us. I often speak about change management and how much that term I find is not only unhelpful, but actually takes us and our leaders and our businesses in the wrong direction. What the term should be is choice management. So when we say, are we taking everybody on the journey? I don't actually think we are. When I'm a business that's a startup, or if I'm at mid-level, or I'm a very mature organization who's looking to make, well, as we say, the right-hand turn, I couldn't possibly want the same people who have built my business to this point. It may sound perhaps a little bit harsh or brutal, but at the end of the day, business changes, and the people who populate your business must move with that. So frankly, I think it's not about taking them with you. I think it's about helping them make the right choice against what you believe is the future of your business.
What about when it comes to acquisition and merger? You're dealing with integrating a lot of personalities into the mix, which may not be effective. How do you actually deal with that?
I think it all comes down, Stephen, and I don't mean to avoid your question, but I think it actually comes down to audit. So oftentimes, having done some work with private equity and venture capital here in Australia, the work that we did with Darla Consulting was to say, is my founder a great sales manager or a great CEO? Is my CFO actually the person who's going to drive my business forward? What am I looking for at multiples of EBIT, or what am I looking for this business? So there is no single black and white clear answer, yes or no. It is about assessing that person's strengths against your business strategy. Just as a way to wrap that, Stephen, if I could, earlier in the interview, we talked about business strategy process, resource, talent. What's my business strategy? I want to continue double-digit growth. I'm going to continue to acquire. Are my processes going to support that without becoming bureaucratic? Then I look at this acquired business and I say, I've got a founder, a CFO, a sales manager, I've got a whole sales team. I have to ask myself, are those people single-digit growth or double-digit growth people? Are they going to fit this business strategy and work these processes? And so lesson number 2, if I might, is really that consensus isn't everything. As a matter of fact, I dare say consensus can be quite poisonous to an organization making that leap to a new way of being. But having said that, I would also say it's never too early to be ambitious. So I would not necessarily seek consensus, but I would say as my 3rd lesson that you can't be too ambitious. Begin with the end in mind, aim high, and work towards that. People will then make that choice to join you. And that's clear, and as much as it might sound harsh, I believe it's actually the better way and the more compassionate way, because that way people can make their choice clearly against where you're going.
How important is it to outline the end state and set the vision about what you're trying to achieve here?
I think you have to. I think you have to aim. You have to begin with the end in mind. You must then, if I had to add just another lesson on top of the 3 I've already mentioned, and that is really important, and that is you need to plan your work and work your plan. Plans are not statements of aspiration. They're statements of direction that say, I am going to meet my business strategy in this period of time, and when I get there, this is what the organization looks like.
To what extent is there a risk around not holding your course, not staying focused and committed to the end goal?
I think you need to take aim, Stephen. I think you need to have a plan that states this is my strategy and this is the steps in which I take to that plan. But you also have to play it where it lies. So sometimes things don't always go to plan. So you need to be able to say, yep, all shots count, and I'm going to play this where it lies, but it's never going to deviate me grossly from where I'm going. I think if you lay these out as non-negotiable components in your program of change or, again, acquisition or divestment or growth or a new product, if you lay out very simply, take your lessons learned from people who've made big changes. It's not enough to just be, you have to do, so you have to plan your work. Consensus isn't everything. Be ambitious and lay out your non-negotiables. Then people can look at you as a leader and say, I know where this company is going, and I can then exercise my choice to join you, as opposed to have to change.
You've mentioned transparency a few times now. Do you see that as a key aspect in a transformation? Is it important that the leaders are transparent to the organization?
It's an excellent summary, Stephen. That's exactly right. Be clear, laser precise, and courageous in your goal and in your communication of that goal, and allow people to make the choice.